Always one of very critical topics that comes out. How I will define that is human-wildlife conflict is a result of human-wildlife interaction. There's interactions that when the people and the wildlife interact, they're either you find either positive results or negative. In the context where human interact with wildlife in the context of tourism, that there's a positive part of it, and there's when is the interaction between people in the context of fighting for resources, you find a negative interaction.
Right.
So when a negative interaction arises, that is affects people, the environment, and the wildlife. And due to now we focus more of why this negative is, and the reason why we try to pass this message is to reduce the negative to be so minimum and increase the positive, because the positive brings about more resources, more space, more sharing of those resources. So in my definition, it's about how do we minimize the negative impact due to interaction. That brings us to why do we get the negative interaction?
Right.
It's because either we're fighting for space in terms of land, habitat where, for instance, elephants, maternity, the forest where they can be able to give birth, their home as well, and as well as the space for roaming or flourishing for that coexistence. So that, for me, is the discussion is how do we make sure the interaction is resulting to positive impact rather to the negative.
And you pinpointed a very important thing, that this should be something that takes us to a collective point where then it concerns everybody. But then again, when we're talking about pastoralist communities that perhaps are the ones that, interact with these animals on a daily basis because of the resources that they share, then the people or the rest of the world then would want to ask, why should it be our business? Why would it be important for us to be part of this agenda, that would speak to preserving wildlife in this particular case?
Well, to react on that, think of why. The first question that would come or came into my mind is why are we talking about wildlife conflict? This thing has been there since time immemorial.
Right.
But we should be in discussion of how do we reverse some of the mistakes we did before. Because let me talk of my country. I'm a proud Kenyan. I'm a very proud Kenyan. But looking at what LCA is all about, it's all about connectivity, connecting land. And even though we're talking, that's our goal, we have challenges because when the demarcation or land was subdivided a long time ago, those who are alive then and who are planning all this didn't consider the wildlife movement corridors. I can give you, I don't know how conversant you are with the country, but you've got Aberdares, for example, in Mount Kenya, and the Mara. I bet animals used to roam from Ethiopia all the way to Tanzania. Now, those corridors have been blocked. It's our duty today, if we want to get control of human-wildlife conflict, we need to open those corridors. And we need to bring everybody on board without using force, educate people, and make people benefit out of wildlife and nature for them to understand why we need to put resources towards opening the corridors and connectivity.
One thing we'd want to ask, how do we strike a balance in a world that is rapidly changing, and therefore there's need to be there's need for that acceptance that indeed we're in that space where things are changing, and we are in that space where it is not like what it was like, you know, back then. But then again, we have to soldier on, we have to move on. So how do we strike that balance? Allow us to loop in Tom Sylvester, who's the CEO of Loisaba Conservancy, who joins us via Skype.